I'm here at the residence of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. On Wednesday evening, following the end of the Yom Kippur fast, he will head out to New York, where he'll address the UN General Assembly on Thursday morning. Now, Netanyahu says in his speech that he'll reiterate that Iran, what he calls the most dangerous country in the world, should not be allowed to develop what he calls the most dangerous weapon in the world, a reference, of course, to a nuclear bomb. But political analysts here say that Netanyahu will also use his speech to repair strained ties with the Obama administration over another round of disagreements about how to handle Iran's suspected nuclear weapons program. Take a listen to what one analyst had to say.
I think one of the things we can expect from Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech is a mentioning of President Obama, thanking him for his support of Israel and Israel's right to exist and Israel's right to survive and Israel's right to defend itself. And there might even be some mention that some of the sanctions are working and some of the diplomatic initiatives that the United States is taking are beginning to take hold.
The latest spat between the allies is over Israel's request that the U.S. publicly declare its red lines on Iran's nuclear energy program, lines that, if Tehran crossed, would constitute U.S. military intervention. Netanyahu believes it's the only way for Iranian leaders to be faced with a credible threat, one that may halt their nuclear weapons program. But the Obama administration has indicated it will not be straddled by laying out such specifics.
4 years ago, as a young senator,
President Obama confirmed this position on CBS's politically influential news program, 60 Minutes. He told reporter Steve Kroft that he would not be pressured into drawing a line in the sand on Iran. The only pressure President Obama said he felt was to make the right national security decisions for the American people. The U.S. leader said he's blocking out any other, quote, noise.
So I think the United States doesn't really want to be pushed around, and I think the Israeli policy is going to somewhat reflect that. Whether or not there will be red lines of the Obama administration or not, it's not going to change the fact that it's going to be very, very, very difficult for Israel to go out at it alone to try and stop the Iranian nuclear threat.
Political sources in Jerusalem indicate that Prime Minister Netanyahu is now backing off his demand for a U.S. red line declaration after initially criticizing the position. Instead, Netanyahu is reportedly asking President Obama to lay out in his UN speech tougher language with some general guidelines, perhaps about the pace or amount of Iran's enrichment program. It's unclear if Obama will even go that far. Distrust between the two leaders remains high. Some in the U.S. administration accuse Netanyahu of overplaying the Iran threat to wield influence among Republican voters, a move seen as a kind of meddling in U.S. domestic politics. Netanyahu warmly embraced Republican presidential challenger Mitt Romney during the candidate's visit to Israel.
Certainly Labor and Kadima leaders tend to favor the Democrats, and the Likud and the right of center tend to favor the Republicans. I think, though, it's gone a little bit overboard on this election, and I think Israelis have crossed the line and turned Israel, to a certain extent, into a partisan issue. And Israel really should be a bipartisan issue, and it should have been above the political fray, and it should have been above the race for the White House.
President Obama will not meet with Netanyahu in New York. He will not meet with any world leaders on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. But the Israeli leader will meet face-to-face with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is known for being an excellent public speaker. His command of English is nearly perfect. But it's likely that his speech this year will be less influential than those in the past. That's because America and its leaders are focused on the upcoming presidential election, which will take place on November 6th. America is focused on the economy and not on issues of foreign policy. Jordana Miller, JN1, Jerusalem.